So, I think everyone's got my name. That's Sushmita Fernandes, and I'm here today to share my thoughts on empathy, which is the need of every hour. Now, before I elaborate on what my topic is, that is empathy, I would just like to quickly ask everyone here, how many of us feel that we are not appreciated enough in life? How many? Let's see some hands, come on. Pata hai. So, obviously, all of us feel that, and we feel that with almost everybody in our lives, right? So, it could be your bosses, it could be colleagues, spouses, relatives, kids, friends, happens to all of us. Because ultimately, we are all humans, and we all expect some appreciation from the people who are there in our life. Now, let's turn the tables. How often do you appreciate them? किसी के हाथ नहीं आ रहे ऊपर? Okay, a few hands, good. Happy about the ones who do, but I'm sure I'll not be incorrect that many a times we also miss it. Because I believe it's just a human thing. We are so consumed with ourselves, it becomes difficult for us to notice what efforts others are making in our life. Now, what do you think is the reason? Now, thankfully today, I think the speakers who were there before me, they have quite well already, created the foundation for my talk. The reason that it is difficult for us to appreciate others because we simply lack empathy. सबको ये दिख रहा है कि मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, मैं वो कर रही हूँ, मैं ये एफर्ट डाल रही हूँ, लेकिन वो ये नहीं देखते कि दूसरा क्या कर रहा है. Which is where the lack of empathy is. Now, before I start saying more on empathy, I would just like to help with the definition of empathy. It simply says that it is the ability to emotionally understand what other people feel, see things from their perspective, and place yourself in their position. So, if I say that my boss has been yelling at me and my work is not done on time, this, that and everything, the first reaction is, I'm upset. Why is this person going on yelling? Why can't they just understand that I am going to take my time? But do I step back and think, probably boss ने किसी को deadline दे रखा है. उनको चाहिए कि उनका काम उस time पे deliver हो, because that matters to the reputation of the company, right? It becomes a little difficult for us to think this, because उस वक्त the only thing I'm thinking, why is my boss yelling at me? इनको समझ नहीं आ रहा what I'm doing, right? So in other words, what I'm trying to say, empathy is walk a distance in their shoes before you conclude on anyone's attitude or behavior. Like I said, the strange thing is that we all want empathy towards us, but we always find it difficult to give it back to other people. So since we are talking about appreciation, I'll just share a quick short story with you guys. So I go in the mornings to jog near my place, and there is this huge plush school. Okay, I'm not taking any names right now. And it has this huge steel signage laden on the wall. Okay, and that signage, of course, is quite big and needs a lot of cleaning. So one of these days, I saw one of the housekeeping personnel who was vigorously cleaning it, but didn't seem very interested. I don't know what he was thinking. Of course, I was jogging, so I passed on, but that remained with me. So I was wondering, does this guy understand how important his job is? क्योंकि है तो वो signage, but if that signage is dusty and unclean, there are people like me who are prospects for that school. I would want to probably send my child to that school. And if that signage is unclean, I'm going to think, यार ये school तो खुद का maintenance भी नहीं कर पा रहा, how can I send my child to the school, right? But do you think anybody has told that personnel that his job is that important? That he needs to ensure कि वो signage clean है because it affects the brand imagery. Because many a times what people don't realize, telling the objective of any particular work that you're delegating to anybody, it could be your family member, it could be people at work, is very, very important, because everyone wants to feel that my job is important. I'm not just doing something for the sake of it. Because trust me guys, any job that you're in, whether you're studying, whether you're working at any place, you wouldn't be there if it was not required. So everything you do is important, but as leaders, it becomes important for us to actually let that importance be conveyed. Because trust me, we all need a pat on the back. We all want a good word of appreciation, don't we? Yes. Do we? Yes. So, now, how aware are we whether we are empathic? I'm not sure. I will not be the judge of that. I'm sure everyone has empathy to some extent. But how do we enhance it? Or if we don't have, how do we develop it? Now I'm going to share this quick 7 tools that I came across in my research. And interestingly, it is made with the word empathy itself. So it's a 7 tool kit, I would say. E for eye contact. M for movement of facial muscles. P for posture. A for effect. T for tone of voice. H, hearing with patience. And Y is your response. अब इतनी सारी चीजें हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा है ना काम. But trust me, once you start inculcating it in yourself and you start following it, it becomes easier. And what happens is you start getting a lot more positive response from people. And when you're practicing empathy, what happens is you develop a lot of skills in yourself. I mean, think about it. Eye contact करना है, posture note करना है, facial muscle movement notice करना है. Too many things. But if you want to do it, you have to do it with a lot of focus. And when you start doing it, it develops patience. And you start listening to unsaid words. Because you're looking at body language. You're looking at facial muscles. So there are things, you know, when a person is lying, their movement of the face or the eyes, the way they fidget, you will be able to figure out that this person is lying. But the fact is, what does empathy say? You don't call out you're lying. What you do, okay fine, he's not comfortable right now talking about whatever is being discussed. Isko abhi chhod dete hain. That is what empathy is. You let that person go on. And let that person believe that aapne maan liya hai usne jo bola hai. And later on, you figure out a way to make that person come in a comfortable space where they can tell you the truth. That is what empathy says. Okay? When you do all these things, the marked difference that you will see in life, in your space, whether it is with your personal relationships or professional, there will be a marked reduction in unmindful clashes. You don't give rise to those things. You will resolve situations much better. You will improve the outcome of every situation no matter what. And because you're so accepting of the people in your life, you will be more proactive and considerate. And trust me, that is exactly the response you will get back. You know why? Why? When you smile, you see someone smiling back at you, automatic response है. हम mimic करते हैं. कहाँ से आए हैं हम? Evolution, remember? Okay. Now, another thing, as I mentioned, कि we get far more productive with empathy. Why? Because happier minds function better. Right? The happiness quotient is so important in our life. Earlier also somebody mentioned about happiness. When you start seeing that it is important for you to take care of people around you and keep them happy, trust me, you will find a lot of errors going down around you. You will see a lot of acceptance. You know, when you're approaching people, when you practice empathy, there is a lot of acceptance in what you are doing, what you're saying. People are willing to listen to you. People are willing to follow you. And trust me, don't be surprised if you find an own fan club, okay? You may start having an Insta page where people just come and start saying how much they like you. All right? So, as Helen Rice mentioned in one of her articles, that if human existence was simply the result of survival of the fittest, then we would be wired to dominate others and not respond to their suffering. But is that what we do? Do we only dominate? No, right? We respond to them. If there is a problem going on, we try to help them out. That is simply because there is empathy within all of us. And we do understand suffering because we all go through it. ऐसा कोई नहीं है who doesn't suffer. है क्या कोई भी? Anyone who's not suffering at all? I want to see that hand. Okay. So as I mentioned, empathy plays a very, very important role in your life personal and professional, and especially if you're leaders in your space, it becomes even more important because you want people to follow you, you want people to listen to you. Now, while I've given you 7 tools and I told you what is the change that comes through, people will start mentioning ki 7 tools to theek hai, but iske aage kya? How do I use these tools? So interestingly, in design, we had design researcher F.S. Wizzer who came up with 4 essential steps of design with empathy. Now, what are these 4 essential steps? It's very simple, and I think a lot of us do follow it also, just that we don't know. It's discovery, immersion, connection, and detachment. So when I'm saying discovery, you enter. I'm talking from the design perspective right now, but please note that this can be applied in any area of life. So you enter into the user's world, you try to understand what is their life and difficulties and what is the need gap we are trying to fill. When you talk about immersion, is when you connect, you try to actually experience. ठीक है, मुझे बॉटल बनाना है, but ये बॉटल यूज कहाँ हो रहा है? जिम में यूज हो रहा है, ऑफिस स्पेस में यूज हो रहा है, कहाँ हो रहा है, पकड़ेंगे कैसे, what will be the grip? So that is the understanding we take, right, in design. And then we have to also come to the connection. Need I understood, but what is the connection? Where is my user actually placed? What is the background? What are their values? What is the religion? What is the culture? Because unless and until I don't understand all these aspects, it's difficult for me to say that I understand the consumer entirely. Once I have all this knowledge, I detach. That is detachment. I come out, look at things from a hawk eye view and try to come up with the best solution possible. And trust me, any designer who's worth their salt, be it in any category, whether it is technology, whether it is architecture, structure, brand design, whatever, they have to follow these steps. Because when you follow these steps, only then you will come up with the best solution. But like I mentioned, this can be followed in any field. You're in accounts, you're in sales, you're in client servicing, all of you can follow this because ultimately the agenda is delight your audience. The audience, anybody, personal, professional, ghar pe bhi, don't make that exception. You have to delight people, and when you empathize and they start noticing that you see things which they haven't even mentioned, it delights them. It makes them so happy and it makes them feel valued and understood. So I would just like to mention, while a lot of technical process I have given you, simply ask yourself before every action you take, before every word you say, how would you like it done to you? जैसा आपको चाहिए वैसा करो. Okay? So guys, I would just like to end with choose empathy and you choose self-elevation. Try it to believe it. Thank you.